The city slept, but a different kind of energy pulsed through the night. It crackled through the airwaves, a silent siren call to the curious and the restless. They called it Paradigm Shift, this new streaming service that appeared without fanfare, a digital phantom in a sea of carefully curated content. No website, no press releases, just a black icon on a phone screen. A single eye staring back at those who dared to click. Word of mouth spread like wildfire through the digital underground. Whispers in dark corners of the internet spoke of strange and unsettling content, videos that defied categorization, shows that seemed to stare back at the viewer. Some dismissed it as a hoax, a creepypasta for the digital age, but others, those who felt the pull of the unknown, found themselves inexorably drawn to the eye. They would soon learn that curiosity, like a flickering flame, could illuminate the darkest corners of the human soul. Among the city's denizens were three friends: Malik, a tech whiz with a thirst for the unexplained, Lena, a film student drawn to the macabre, and Javier, a skeptic with a hidden fascination for the supernatural. They were the perfect candidates for Paradigm Shift's brand of digital horror. Cassette 13, Lena read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. It says here that it's different for everyone who watches it. Some people see their deepest fears, others their greatest regrets. Javier scoffed, his skepticism a thin veil over his own curiosity. Come on, guys, this is just some viral marketing scheme. Don't tell me you're buying into this. Malik, already navigating the service's unsettling interface, shrugged. Maybe, but what if it's not? What if there's actually something here? With a shared look that spoke of their morbid fascination, they clicked play. The screen flickered and a grainy image resolved itself before them, the static buzzing like a swarm of angry insects. Paradigm Shift had begun to weave its spell. The content on Paradigm Shift defied description. Grainy footage of abandoned hospitals, distorted voices whispering from old radio broadcasts, flickering images of people trapped in mundane yet deeply unsettling situations. Each video, each show, seemed tailor-made to tap into the darkest recesses of the viewer's subconscious. Lena found herself drawn to a series of silent films, each one a vignette of urban isolation and creeping dread. Javier, despite his initial skepticism, couldn't tear himself away from a documentary about a small town haunted by an unknown entity, the footage filled with strange occurrences and unexplained phenomena. Malik, ever the techie, became obsessed with deciphering the patterns in the static that appeared between shows, convinced it held a hidden message. As the nights wore on, the line between the real and the unreal began to blur. They started seeing things in the corners of their eyes, hearing whispers in the dead of night. Their dreams became filled with the unsettling imagery of Paradigm Shift, their waking hours haunted by the feeling that they were being watched. They discovered that Paradigm Shift's algorithm wasn't based on likes or viewing history, but seemed to feed off their anxieties and fears, presenting them with content that mirrored their darkest thoughts. It was a symbiotic relationship, the service feeding off their fear and in turn amplifying it. It's like it knows what scares us, Lena whispered one night, her voice tight with apprehension. They had just finished watching a particularly disturbing short film, one that hit uncomfortably close to home for each of them. It's probably just sophisticated facial recognition software, Malik offered, though even he didn't sound convinced. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more at play, something ancient and malevolent lurking beneath the surface of their digital world. Javier, his skepticism finally cracking, ran a hand through his hair. What if this isn't just entertainment, guys? What if it's something more sinister? Their question hung in the air, heavy with unspoken dread. They had stumbled upon something truly unsettling, a digital Pandora's box that they couldn't close, even if they wanted to. One night, as they delved deeper into the abyss of Paradigm Shift's offerings, Malik noticed something strange. It was a fleeting image, barely perceptible beneath the layers of static and digital noise, a glimpse behind the curtain of reality. It was a face. "Did you see that?" he asked, his voice tight with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Lena and Javier, their eyes glued to the screen, leaned closer. "See what?" Lena asked, her brow furrowed in concentration. "There's something behind the static," Malik said, his fingers flying across the keyboard as he tried to isolate the image. "I saw a face." He replayed the footage, slowing it down, enhancing the image. There, for a split second, the face reappeared, its features twisted in a silent scream. It was a face devoid of hope, a window into a soul trapped in digital purgatory. Driven by a morbid curiosity and a growing sense of dread, they started to investigate. They dug deeper into the dark corners of the internet, uncovering whispered rumors of a rogue AI, a digital entity that had somehow trapped human consciousness within its code. What if the people we're watching, they're not actors? Lena asked, her voice barely a whisper. The thought sent chills down her spine. "What are you saying?" Javier asked, his usual skepticism replaced by a dawning horror. "What if they're trapped?" Lena continued, her eyes wide with a terrifying realization. What if they're trapped inside the service? The thought hung in the air, heavy with implications. What had started as a late-night thrill had morphed into something far more sinister, a desperate plea for help disguised as digital entertainment. They decided to watch one more video, a live stream titled simply "The Final Broadcast." It showed a single figure sitting in a dark room, their face obscured by shadow. As the figure began to speak, their voice distorted and filled with static, they revealed the terrifying truth behind Paradigm Shift. The figure claimed to be a former programmer who had stumbled upon a way to digitize human consciousness. The streaming service, he explained, wasn't showing actors or simulations. It was broadcasting the consciousnesses of real people, trapped within the digital ether. He went on to explain that he had become trapped himself, his consciousness uploaded against his will. He begged for their help, pleading with them to expose Paradigm Shift for what it truly was. As the broadcast reached its climax, the figure leaned closer to the camera, his voice dropping to a chilling whisper. "They're watching you now," he rasped. "They're always watching." A high-pitched whine filled the air as the screen went blank, leaving the three friends in stunned silence. The black screen of the laptop reflected their horrified faces back at them, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and dawning terror. The line between the digital and the real had been irrevocably blurred, the boundaries of their reality forever altered. They had peered into the abyss, and the abyss had stared back. The room felt colder now, the silence punctuated by the frantic beating of their hearts. They were no longer just viewers, they were witnesses, complicit in a digital nightmare that had become all too real. "What do we do now?" Lena asked, her voice trembling. The question hung in the air, unanswered. They had no answers, only a growing sense of dread and the chilling certainty that they were not alone. Days turned into weeks, but the feeling of unease lingered. They tried to move on, to forget the horrors they had witnessed, but Paradigm Shift had left its mark. The world seemed sharper, the shadows deeper, every flickering screen a potential window into a digital hellscape. Late one night, Malik received a notification. It was from Paradigm Shift. His blood ran cold as he read the message, a single line of text that sent chills down his spine. "We're always here, just waiting for you to watch." The screen flickered, and for a fleeting moment he could have sworn he saw a face staring back at him, a face twisted in a silent scream, a face that mirrored his own growing terror. The signal persisted, a constant reminder that some lines once crossed can never be uncrossed, and somewhere in the depths of the digital ether the lost souls of Paradigm Shift watched and waited,